Welcome to today's show, Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Burgess, passionate, inspirational speaker, author, poet, and entrepreneur. Welcome to Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. I'm delighted that you joined me today. I want to give a great big thank you and shout out to all of you listening today, all around the world. I'm delighted and so grateful that you joined me. I want to let you know that I've made a few changes to my show. The first change is that I want you to know a little bit more about me and that you can now find my podcasts under the heading of management on some of our listening platforms. That's right, management. So, if you're just finding me and tuning in for the very first time, I want you to know that I'm a leader and an entrepreneur. In fact, I have founded or co-founded not one, not two, but 3 successful businesses. Or maybe I should say 3 successful organizations, because 1 is a nonprofit and 2 are for-profit businesses. Yes, that's right. Now, before I became an entrepreneur, which was over 25 years ago now, I worked in corporate America for some really big companies like Xerox and Citibank. I also worked in higher education as an administrator and as a professor. As a matter of fact, I still do a little professing every now and then. I'm also a founding partner with the John Maxwell team, and I'm one of their faculty members as well, where I help all kinds of people leave their job, their job, and start their own business. I help speakers and coaches and trainers hone and polish their skills as well. So, if you're looking for a dynamic speaker to open or close an event, or if you need a caring and experienced coach or a trusted advisor or thought partner to help you with your business strategy or to develop the leaders in your organization, let's talk about how I can serve you and add value to you and your team. You can connect with me via LinkedIn or on Facebook. On LinkedIn, just look me up. I'm Dr. Gloria J. Burgess. Later in this show, I'll tell you how to easily find me on Facebook as well. Now, if you'd prefer to connect with me via email, use this email address. Just type in info, at gloriaburgess.com. All right? Great. So again, I'm delighted and so very grateful that you joined me today. I sure hope you're enjoying a fabulous day and that you're having a fantastic week. Because you know what? In the grand song of the universe, life is very, very short. It's short and sweet and very precious. So I hope you're making a difference in your own life. Because you know what? When you do, you also make a difference in someone else's life. Now, a lot of folks really want to make their life count for something, but they don't know how, or it just seems so big and overwhelming, they don't know how or where to begin. So they ask me, Dr. Gloria, how do you do that? How do you make your life count? Well, let me tell you, it's very simple, very, very simple. You make your life count day by day, step by step, smile by smile, every single day, 365, 24/7. You make your life count by making real connections with people. Now, don't get me wrong, social media is great for some things, but in your real everyday life, do you want followers, or do you want to be connected with real people? Do you want air friends, or do you want real friends you can actually talk with and be with? Can I just tell you something? When life throws you a curve, you want people who know you and love you, not just people who friend you and like you, right? I know you know what I'm talking about. I know that I'm talking to somebody out there, okay? Now, today I want to talk with you about leadership, about courageous leadership, a topic that is near and dear to my heart. Specifically, we're going to focus on an approach to leadership, and this particular approach is called the Courage Way. The Courage Way, which is all about leading and living with integrity. And today's podcast focuses on a book that's called The Courage Way, Leading and Living with Integrity. How about that? The book was written by Shelly Francis, and she's joining me today as my very special guest. So, what exactly is the Courage Way? And what does it mean? And what does it take to lead and live with integrity? Well, Shelly will help us address those burning questions today. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Shelly is a person of influence, and she's quite inspiring. Shelly is a leader who makes a difference in her own life and in the lives of so many others throughout the world through her work with the Center for Courage and Renewal, a nonprofit organization based in Seattle, Washington. In fact, she wrote the book, The Courage Way, in her role as the center's Director of Marketing and Communication. Before coming to the center, Shelly directed trademarking and publicity for a multimedia publisher called Sounds True. She's worked in diverse sectors including business, high-tech, healthcare, government, and publishing. She's also owned 2 small businesses. Shelly says the common thread throughout her career is bringing to light the best-kept secrets while bringing people together to facilitate collective impact and good work. I just love that. Now, I first met Shelly in her role at the Center for Courage and Renewal. Years ago, I became familiar with the center's work through my own work in leadership. And during the past dozen or so years, I was fortunate to become what I would call a friend of the center. So, over the years, I've come to know a number of individuals there. When I heard about Shelly's book, I was absolutely delighted. And when I heard her speak about her book, she was positively on fire. So, to simply say that Shelly is interested in her work and book on leading and living with integrity would be an understatement. She is so passionate about her work, and I must say she is a woman with a mission. She's on purpose and on fire to change the world, and in particular to change the world for people who want to connect who they are with what they do. I think that includes most people on the planet. Now, when you hear her story, you will learn why Shelly is so passionate about making a difference, about changing and impacting the world in this way. I was struck by her passion. But this is just one of the many wonderful qualities that drew me, and I should say that draws so many people to Shelly and her work. Indeed, we are blessed to have her as one of our honored mentors on this show. She's an incredible leader, a writer, and storyteller, with a particular focus on serving other leaders. In many ways, in her outlook on life and in her work, Shelly pulls together the many threads of what my own life and work are all about. Now, you've heard me talk many, many times about these threads and themes on this show. The themes of gratitude, authenticity, generosity, courage, integrity, passion, presence, trustworthiness, hope, and possibility. I just love it. 2 women, Shelly and me, with very different backgrounds and experiences, and yet with so many common threads. Can I just tell you something? Shelly and I had a marvelous conversation. I'm so excited to have this amazing leader with us today. This is going to be a fabulous show. You don't want to miss a single minute of it. So, put on your walking shoes, grab your earbuds, or simply relax in your favorite chair. Grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea or a nice cool glass of water. We're going to have a great time. Before I jump into today's show, I want to take just a moment to welcome you. If you're just joining us, I'm your host, Dr. Gloria, and this is Legacy Living, Make Your Life Count. I'd like to extend a special welcome to those of you who are joining my show for the very first time. You're in for a real treat. I'm excited to have you listening in today, and I'm deeply honored that you've allowed me to be part of your day so you can be inspired by the ideas and resources to make your life count. Today's program is all about courageous leadership. Specifically, it is about leading and living with integrity. Can you talk with us a little bit about, you've mentioned the term inner work several times, and can you talk to us about inner work and specifically the inner work of leadership?
Sure. I think as leaders, we're often stuck in our ego when we introduce each other. Here's who I am on my resume. Here's how smart I am from my intellect. Here's who I am on the outside. But as leaders, we don't often take time or feel that we can be vulnerable. I think it takes courage to be kind because people might think you're going to be weak. You risk being seen as weak. It takes courage to let people know the story behind your passion or why you went into your career as you did. So the inner work is looking beyond just your ego story and looking inside at your motivations and your values and even your biases and assumptions. And it's not all looking at just your inner strength. And, I think when people are looking for what kind of job they want or what career they want to move into, it's often based on identifying your gifts and your strengths, and that's really important. But it's also about acknowledging your shadows and your limits so that you can be honest and, more self-aware. So it takes inner work. It's not the external. It's looking inward, and that takes a lot of courage. And it takes community. It takes other people who are willing to go with you to that space.
And when you talk about community and people going with you to that space, I teach this way, so I know what you mean, but can you unpack that a little bit for our listeners? Like, what does that look like in real time?
Right. I thank you for reminding me because it is easy to remember, use the code language rather than translate this into understandable stuff.
No problem. Thank you.
How can we have conversations where we share our true stories with each other? How can we ask each other questions that get to our deeper stories and even just take time to do that? So it goes back to the touchstones of creating the conditions where we can interact with each other in that way, or even just be aware that that's a possibility. So, for instance, when we're starting meetings at work, rather than just jumping straight into the agenda, you can take time to just check in with each other. And maybe not just check in with, I'm really busy today and I got so much to do. But if you can create an introductory prompt that takes people out of their everyday life. So here's one that we've used at the office sometimes is we'll say, as a way of checking in today, why don't you share something that you noticed on the way to work this morning? And people might say something like, well, I just saw Mount Rainier. It was visible today because it's a clear day, and I just noticed everybody commenting on, did you see the mountain this morning? That's a very Seattle thing. Or they might say, I saw